Hey guys, so good news. Austin Butler has well and truly lost his Elvis accent. There is no hint of it in this movie. So firstly, I haven't read the books. I actually went to the early preview screening with my mum, and she ended up liking it so much that she's reading the books now. So I'll learn from her how closely it mirrors the movie story wise. But coming into this franchise, not knowing a lot about it, I feel like there's obviously so much that was lost in translation from the books. And look, I get that. Obviously, with any movie, especially with such a epic sci-fi like this one, there's going to be a lot lost in translation. You can't avoid that. But still, I felt like there was moments where it just wasn't really clear what was happening. Like, why were these people from this culture acting this way? And I know they can't stop and give you exposition every 5 minutes, but still, I felt like they could have made it a bit clearer. I'd really like to know, for those of you that have read the books, how did you feel about it? Did you feel that, like me, there was a lot lost in translation, or were you happy with it? So I really liked that there was more humor this time around. That was one thing I had a problem with in the first movie. It was so bleak and so serious, and I get that. This isn't Star Wars. It's meant to be a more adult approach, and I like that. But at the same time, I felt like this time around, having those humorous moments, even though they were few and far between, it still helped to break up that serious tone. So when we did have those really impactful moments, they hit harder. So as a Christian, I really enjoyed that one of the core themes of the movies was the power of faith, but at the same time, it works as a cautionary tale in being careful of charismatic leaders and having absolute blind faith in people. So the characters, I felt like at times they were a little hard for me to connect to. I would have liked if they had just worked a little more on connecting us to these characters, because you have to care about them to care what happens to them, and I just didn't really feel that connection there. Not that there was anything wrong with their acting. I felt like that was more of an issue with the script. So the runtime, it does go for quite a long time. It's even longer than the first movie. I think it comes up to just under 3 hours. And I didn't even need to go to the bathroom once the whole movie. So I was so proud of myself. So, I didn't feel the runtime. I felt the runtime in the first movie, even though it was a shorter movie. But this time around, it had my attention from start to finish. So as far as the visuals go, you already know it's amazing. It's top notch. The CGI, the cinematography, the set design, it was all good. The score was amazing, but at the same time, there were just a few times it was a little overbearing. Like with Feyd-Rauther, when he was having his fight, I almost had to cover my ears. And I don't really get bothered by loud movies, but it was a little too much at certain times. So I felt like Timothy did a really good job as Paul, in that he was a leader that people needed, not what they expected. He wasn't this big buff Arnold Schwarzenegger type guy. He was this guy that didn't seem to command a lot of presence, but then you see him grow into himself and his role in this movie. And I thought he did a good job. And Zendaya, look, I don't want to be mean, but I just don't understand how she's in so many movies these days. She always feels really flat to me. I didn't feel the chemistry between her and Paul, their characters. Like, it was meant to be this epic love story, and I just didn't feel it. So Florence Pugh did a good job. She was decent. She didn't really stand out to me, but yeah, she was decent. Whoever played Lady Jessica, she did a good job. I was really impressed by her. Christopher Walken, it's always really good to see him in a movie. I've loved him ever since I saw him in that Batman movie that I watch every Christmas, because it is a Christmas movie. So Austin Butler as Feyd-Rauther was definitely the standout for me. I wish he was in the movie more. He's in it for a decent amount of time, but still, I would have liked to see his character fleshed out. It felt a little one-dimensional, like show us more of his motivations apart from being a sociopath, you know? Like give him more layers than that. And his accent was really jarring at first, but after a while you get used to it. So it'll be really funny if he walks around talking like Fade Roofer from now on. But anyway, it would have been good if he didn't die. He dies at the end. Obviously, Paul wins the fight. And I know they have to stick to the books, but yeah, I'd really like to see him in the third movie. So worm riding is something I never thought I would say is cool, but Dune makes it cool. It looks really visually good on screen. So Anya Taylor-Joy, her role in this is very small. She's in it for like a minute. She plays the unborn sister of Paul, so she can communicate in the womb to her mother. And he also has this vision of her as Anya is playing her like in the future, where she's guiding him along his journey, helping him to pick the right path. So it would have been good to see her in more scenes because I'm a huge fan of Anya's, but still, I get why they limited it. It wasn't really a focus. So maybe she'll be in the third movie. I don't know if there's like a huge time jump or whatever, but anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna say I'd give this an 8 out of 10. I feel like I would be excited to see the third movie, but I'm not going to lie and say it's going to be on the list of my top movies of the year either. But I think if you're a fan of this, if you've seen the first one and you enjoyed the first movie, you'll definitely like this movie. You'll like it probably a lot more. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth seeing in the cinema on the biggest screen possible. So please like, comment, subscribe, all of that. It really helps me out. Thank you.